Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your October 2021 general reading. Feel free to check out your sun, moon, and rising signs for a more well-rounded perspective. And if you would like a reading for you on a personal level for your personal situation, feel free to check out the description box below for links to my website. All right, let's go ahead and begin. In the energy that we are coming in strong with the beginning of the month of October is the Star card, and I feel like this is really tapping into that sort of energy of someone who doesn't quite fit in. They're a bit ethereal. They're a bit they're not so much out of step with society as much as they're so far ahead of society in the way that they see or the way that they're living, that they can live parallel to society. So it seems like they're out of step, but they're actually ahead. So hopefully that makes sense. But essentially, as we are leaving the month of September and entering the month of October, there's an awareness that you have reached that allows you to really see yourself in a light that recognizes how your differences aren't actually holding you back, but are actually pushing you forward. Your differences are not a problem as society may define them, but rather are your gifts, and it's actually society that has a problem and not you. So hopefully that makes sense. But there's awareness that I feel you are coming into the month of October, as far as you and who you are, and just this better way of seeing these things about yourself that before you were defining based on what other people said, and you're finally recognizing that this is not the case. You're not out of step. They're out of step, so to speak. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, so moving on, we're pulling in the Five of Swords, and this realization, as encouraging as it is, it does make it so that it's harder to engage like you once did. There is an internal battle now of the old perception, which came from the ingraining of your youth of being different, and the new perspective of realizing that the differences, even though the differences do exist, they're not necessarily a problem as much as society wants you to perceive them to be. They're actually blessings, they're actually gifts, they're actually connections that people don't understand because they don't have them, whatever the case may be. But there's an internal battle as a result of it. There's a struggle of old perception and new perception. And it feels like it's a battle that you're going to be facing quite often. A lot of that has to do with the fact that just because you suddenly realize that these previously considered oddities, you now do not see them as oddities, there are still other people who do. So the problem is that just because you come to a realization doesn't mean that your tribe suddenly, or people who you perceive as your tribe, suddenly come to the same realization. They still have their old way of thinking, even though you may have had a moment of realization and recognition. And so there's a time period of just trying to battle it out within yourself as far as which one's going to take precedence, and how much of these thought processes or new perception of yourself you're going to allow to take precedence, if it's going to rock your personal boat, rock your personal life, because it might eventually mean that some of the friends that you had, they don't feel as friendly as they once did, or you don't click or vibe with them as you once did. And so as a result of it, you might be in search of other people who connect in ways that vibrate on the same frequencies that you do. But before that happens, there is going to be an internal struggle of how much of your old perception and how much of your new perception is going to hold out. Is one going to replace the other, or are you going to be trying to balance the two perceptions? Are you going to try to accept yourself quietly, but in the process of accepting yourself quietly, still be other people's perception when you're around them, so that you don't rock the boat or cause any sort of discomfort or any sort of distress or chaos? This is just an internal battle that you'll be facing. This feels very heavy and very strong towards the middle of the month. And the truth of the matter is the answer is whatever it is that you feel that you want to do. There's nothing wrong with accepting yourself, but then still being yourself as you always have been, and just joking around as being the weird one or the oddball or the one who's out of step with society. If you can accept that these people that you call friends see you as this, and it doesn't matter because you know the truth, that's perfectly fine. But equally so, if you're somebody who feels like, since you've recognized this of yourself, you're not fulfilled with these relationships with people who do not see this in you, and you want new friends, there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just a matter of which way that you feel is the way that you want to continue on in this life and who you want to be surrounded by. Either choice is fine, but essentially you are going to you're going to feel the internal battle. And as you move into the end of the month, the Seven of Swords indicates that there does seem to be a need to make a decision, or you're going to feel the pressure of making a decision. This does feel self-imposed. It's not so much your friends are requiring you to be a certain way, or your friends are requiring you to proclaim something or another, as much as you're just going to put pressure on yourself. It has to do with your relationship with the idea of authenticity and how you feel regarding your personal awakenings to who you are and the direction that you're on, as far as personal acceptance and embracing, and what that means for your relationship with other people, and how you feel that you have to be presenting yourself as far as being authentic to yourself and to these people who are in your life on a regular basis. So as you move through the month of October, you're starting out with this realization and desire to embrace the fact that you finally get you, and you want to embrace you and who you are. But there's going to be a battle of the old you and the new you, the old perception that's fed from external voices, and the new you of internal acceptance. And as you battle that out and move towards the end of the month, you're going to be facing a little bit of a sense of how much of which one of you wins out. How does that play as far as being able to define yourself as being authentic to you, authentic to the self that you realize, and the self that you want to embrace, and the self that you want to be. So a little bit of a battle is going to ensue, and it's all kind of, it's all mental. It's all something that you're putting yourself through, and it's just a means of basically you trying to get to know yourself better, you trying to figure out how to embrace yourself better. It's all about you trying to figure out what it is that you desire of yourself, and where you want to take yourself in the future, as far as now that you've kind of understand yourself better. But it's all just an internal battle, and it's just a battle that essentially is you trying to get into a better relationship with yourself. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that it's something that's going to happen, and it's going to feel a bit heavy as you work through this internal struggle. We are finishing with the risk and reward, and I feel this is coming in strong. Again, that idea of suddenly understanding yourself, and then the internal battle, the struggles inside your head as far as interpretation of the situation and where that leads. There's just this overall sense that when you suddenly have an epiphany and you recognize yourself for who you are, it just sets you on a trajectory, and there are risks and rewards whenever we go through these things. Whenever we start to break down and try to look at ourselves and define ourselves and to have a better, healthier relationship with ourselves, what oftentimes can come with this is shadow work. Even when we reach a point of wanting to accept ourselves and are fully willing and able and ready to embrace ourselves, sometimes there's a bit of shadow work that comes with that. And then whenever shadow work comes, there's definitely even deeper looks at ourselves and looking at ourselves from other people's perspectives and how we interpret that. And essentially, there is a risk when we take the time to get to know ourselves, because then sometimes that means we might have to change aspects of ourselves that we didn't recognize or we were denying about ourselves. So there is risks, but no matter what, there's also rewards. The biggest reward is when you get to know yourself. There's strength in that. There's power in that. The risk is what I've already laid out as far as shadow work and the internal battle, and then also potential relationships that you're in and what that might mean in the future as far as you and those people in the relationships and where that might lead. So there are risks and rewards to this sort of internal work, and it's just something that you have to decide on whether or not you want to embrace and continue on and follow through with. If you don't want to do the shadow work, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with walking away. So essentially, though, there is definitely an awakening that's happening. You are awakening to you. You're awakening to a version of yourself that you've always been aware of. And then it's going to set you on this path of just getting to know yourself more, getting to know yourself deeper, and then also hitting up against trying to decide whether or not you want to take this path, or you just want to enjoy life as it presents itself, and knowing that there is a risk or a reward no matter what the choices that you make. At any rate, this is some heavy energy in the month of October. Like I said, really getting to know yourself and the odds that you can get into with yourself as a result of it. But free will is a big thing. I feel like that's always something I want to say. Free will is a big thing. You don't have to take this path if you don't want to. There's nothing wrong with choosing otherwise. All right. I hope this reading has helped you, prepare you, make you feel that you're better equipped, make you understand some of the internal battle that you might be facing now or as you move through the month of October. If you would like a more well-rounded perspective, be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising, and check out the description box below for a more personalized option for readings for you and your individual situation. Other than that, I hope October is a good month for you, and we will see you in a future video.